For today, yeah, I actually didn't look to get the new. I think you should have there should be a new link for the meeting that just happened.
Okay.
And
we can coordinate that afterwards.
Yeah, we'll do it after. It may not be finished processing yet, because
okay.
They say it takes about as long to process as it does to record.
But this will start
now.
Chapter 2.
Right.
And Chapter 1. All right. I went to lunch. Okay, train specs. We don't have wall time lapsing and wobbling back and forth. Okay, generic backup implementation.
So we already merged the specs, right? And we're trying to figure out where the features are. Is that the idea?
Well, yes.
Check it on everything.
Just kind of check on the list of things that we thought we were working on.
Yeah.
And
where's this Etherpad? This is
It is Cinder. Well, go to our weekly meeting, and it's under the Cinder PTG planning.
where is it? No, they're in the Etherpad. I was already on. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's down at the bottom of that.
Scrolling, it's complicated.
Scroll on, my wayward friend. Scroll on.
Yeah.
Parents keep somehow turning off the power to their network and phone system. I put it on a UPS to avoid this, and somehow they keep accidentally turning the UPS off.
Probably beeping.
Yeah.
And then they're like, and so they actually waited a week for a guy from the cable company to come out and go, oh, this box needs to be on. I'm like, and they were having issues again yesterday, and I was supposed to call them last night, and I forgot. Anyway. Okay. So, we have the generic backup implementation. I think, that's spec merge.
Just moved out, right?
Well, I thought, that merged in Stein.
I think Yvonne was, this is not done yet.
Okay.
I think Yvonne was saying that he's going to keep working on this later.
Okay, so this needs to move to
I remember correctly.
E.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Or U.
Well, the patches are not obvious that the patches are like done.
I'm trying to remember. He specifically said he was going to do something, but not something else. So I can't remember if he was not going to do this one or.
And that was.
There's like 2 different patches that are the same thing about backups via the scheduler.
All right, let me look here. I know we talked about this in the meetings recently.
Yeah, it was not that long ago that we went over this stuff.
Generic
The generic backup implementation patch is still work in progress. It hasn't been updated like this year. So I think when we talked about it, Yvonne was saying he was interested in it, but he just probably wasn't going to have time to do it in the train. It is a good idea. It'd be good for us to finish it.
Yeah. Nerd backup driver discussion. Team would still like to get this in. Yvonne is continuing to work on it. Need to review the patches that are out there to help this. Okay, so what was the other one that he was working on? Not that one. No. Okay. Okay, so I need to follow up with Yvonne to see, what are the patches like that are out here?
They're not done.
They're not done.
I don't think so, because the main one for the actual feature was still marked work in progress.
Okay. So the to-do here is to move these back out to the appropriate release. Okay. The capabilities reporting, we're going to move out to.
Yeah, I guess we'll assemble something for you.
Okay.
Just for you.
Thank you. Mom and Dad have a telephone temporarily, so we're good. Parental update. Okay. Okay, so we agreed that we're still going to try to get the untyped volume code in.
That sounds like it's pretty close to being done.
Yeah. And we put high rate, so that's something we could probably review this afternoon. Try to get comments or merge on. Get our merge on. Okay. So. Properties and Cinder encrypted volume key management. That's you.
So the plant side, I think, well, the spec was slow being approved, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be approved. There's code up that looks basically, anyway, I'm pretty sure it's going to make it into glance.
So
for T.
I'm trying to remember which piece of this thing this was. Was this the one that would teach Glance to delete the keys?
Right. So Glance will delete the keys.
Okay.
So what we have to do on our side is to just add the metadata.
Right.
So I can probably do that. So it shouldn't be a big deal.
Right.
Because I'll just find where we're adding the key currently.
Yeah.
And just add this extra piece. So it's, yeah. So that, the holdup on the Glance patch at the moment is the guy who put it up on a 2-week vacation. But he should be back next week, I think. And the patch looked good. I just asked for some more tests because he had unit tests to make sure that the key handling was correct, but not tests to make sure that it didn't interfere with the image deletion process. Because if you ask for the image to be deleted, if there's some kind of problem with the contact and Barbican to handle the key, what we agreed on the Glance spec is that it'll log an error message, but it won't stop the image from being deleted. So
I think Cinder went the other way, but I can't remember.
I'll give you a link. You can take a quick look at the error conditions for the spec. That was the only hold up. Otherwise, it looked okay. Although I guess it'd be good. I should actually test it to make sure it's behaving properly.
Yeah.
I'd like to note that there's only a 20% chance of preset today. Weather Channel has no clue what they're doing. The blame might be.
Oh yeah, I forgot that.
Well, and now it asks you to, if you want a really accurate forecast, you have to upgrade your Weather Channel app and pay for it monthly.
Seriously.
They know
Otherwise,
that-
it just gives you like 50%.
It doesn't give you as long or accurate a forecast.
I know there's like other places you can get that info, right?
I guess they figured people are too lazy to.
Well, there's Wonderground, which they also own.
Well, yeah, the Weather Channel bought them.
It's part of their plan to dominate the weather.
And so that's what for years my weather station was pushing data up to.
Yeah.
They're going to discontinue that. They're like, we don't want your data anymore. It's like,
When you're silly amateur data.
well, and they stopped taking camera feeds. Well, it broke, and then they said, well, we're working on fixing it. And that was like a year ago, and they haven't fixed it yet.
So yeah, they wanted to stop. They just didn't want to say they were.
Anyway,
The Glance spec was approved.
okay. So we're waiting on the Glance patch to merge.
Yeah.
And then you're going to put together a patch
On the Cinder side.
on the Cinder side. Okay. Let's see. Encryption key management on volume clone. That was yours, Eric.
Yeah, so this is in pretty good
Patch
shape.
merge, or the spec merged.
Yeah, so this one was kind of, well, I got some unit tests written on Tuesday that I haven't submitted yet.
Okay.
I've been walking around IRC yelling for reviews for this for a while, and I haven't gotten any.
Okay.
But, I mean, I think it's getting pretty close to being in good shape. I need to patch up one or two things, and I need to get the unit test submitted. But after that, then we get to my current plan, which we haven't really talked about, and I probably haven't thoroughly thought through as a plan. But Brian suggested that I tie in some of the Barbican key consumer stuff to this, but I think that's going to be a whole project in you.
Yeah, we have to.
Another phase.
Yeah, as far as I know, that's being worked on,
Yeah.
and it may be in T, but yeah, we shouldn't.
So this really just does like what it says on the box, where when you clone a volume, you get a new encryption key that's a different key. So we change it so you can't take one volume's key and use it to unlock a different volume. Which makes our volume encryption scheme more solid. And then Brian's idea was about better managing some of the.
Yeah, there's a new API they're putting into Barbican where the service can register with a key to indicate that it's consuming it. And then when you're done with the key, you can unregister. So I think because only the user can delete the key. So from the user point of view, you would go to delete this key and it would just say it's in use. And you could still delete it if you want to with a force flag, but you would get a warning. Whereas now, if you delete it, somebody's using it, then it's gone, and the stuff becomes useless.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a handy.
Which is, it's not really related to this spec in particular, other than it's related to us doing encryption in general. So I'm going to push up an update, and then after I do that, we need to review this thing. It works on iSCSI and fiber. I didn't test fiber because I don't have any fiber. It did work on iSCSI and fiber.
Okay. So that would be one for review this afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Cinder mutable options. We really need Erlon's input.
We've been talking about that one for a while.
Yep. Well, I mean, the spec was merged back in
Oh,
Pike.
okay. Wasn't it somebody? Seems like I saw some patch related to this recently.
I mean, that was initially started by Kendall, to tell you how long ago that idea came up.
Yeah, I think somebody actually submitted something related to this not long ago, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But it was about, I don't know, I saw something go by that sounded like this. Did we ever figure out, I guess I should go read the spec. I don't know, did we ever figure out how to really do this well with multi-backend?
I don't know.
The spec is pretty sparse. I mean, it explains what it is, but it doesn't explain anything about how we're going to actually do it.
Sparse spec.
So that, I mean, that's a good idea. It just needs somebody to actually drive it.
And that was one that Erlon was going to drive, and very quiet. Because NetApp wanted it.
I did that.
Yeah.
It's probably useful for a lot of people.
I mean, should I move the spec forward to you, given that it's probably not going to make it into...
Well, I mean, definitely not trade.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if it's worth moving until somebody's actually working on it. But
Well,
I'm not sure how we usually do that.
The problem is right now, if somebody goes and Googles, it looks like it went into Pike.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
In Glance, we have this sort of collecting a backlog. So we have like approved but untargeted specs, I guess. So there's things that have been reviewed, basically left over from the big OSINT debacle where we lost the little Glance squad. So they had been, vetted. They're good ideas. They'd be easy for somebody to pick up if they wanted to implement a feature. But then that way they don't get lost, but they're still in a place where
I like that
you can
idea.
find it.
So Nova actually does some slightly different.
Okay.
Well, if you look in Nova's, they have like specs trained, and they have approved, and they have implemented directories.
Right, we do that too.
Okay.
See, but the problem is as long as you're constructive about going through looking for the approved stuff that hasn't been implemented yourself, that's okay. But what we did was we just put them in one place so it's easy. because every so often somebody will say, you know, I've got an intern, what do you need them to do?
Right.
And then we point them to one of those and they disappear.
Yeah.
So it hasn't quite worked out the way we anticipated, but
Seems like a good idea.
it's yeah.
I mean,
And
the
that way,
Cinder,
because they're usually, I mean,
yeah,
because people have put some work into reviewing them to get them approved.
Yeah.
So it's just for whatever reason, person switched companies, got downgraded as a priority.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Okay.
Yeah, so I put that as a to-do here.
Okay.
Because that makes sense to do. Okay, so that's one that may go to the, I'll see if I can get a hold of Erlon, if not.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing about that, there's a way to put redirects into the specs repo. What's
well,
the deal?
Nofa's got like sim links in theirs.
Yeah, the problem with doing sim links is, well, maybe they, right, they have better people than me. Because the problem is with Sphinx,
So they have
if you have
some
the same name document in two places, it completely freaks out and won't build.
Oh man. So they have some kind of backlog in Nova's too.
Okay.
So if it's, I mean, they have a file that's like, I don't know. They're doing something that we're not doing in Cinder for sure. I don't know that we've felt a lot of pressure to do anything in Cinder. I mean, it's kind of mostly just work as far as I know, but I don't know. Maybe it's a mess for a lot of people that aren't heavily involved in the project. And
It's on things.
yeah, and I just don't hear about it.
Well, I think in Glance we made the thing overly elaborate. Each of the projects, so for like Train, you've got approved and implemented for Glance Client, and Glance Store.
Yeah, that's probably not anyone.
And it's just, and so it's a pain.
Cinder definitely didn't make one for clients.
Yeah, that was smart because it's just too much stuff to maintain. That doesn't add to.
With the time lapse with the camera motion added in. Sorry. Distracted or anything. Okay. iSCSI support we talked about already.
Yeah, sounds like Walt's working on it.
We don't have a spec for this, so we don't need to worry about that.
Yeah.
Well, continuing to work this for the Unicorn release. At some point, I'm going to have to start accepting the name that I got, actually use it, but oh well. Syncing scheduler stats in an HA environment.
Unicorn Uma for sure.
A named Uma?
Wasn't Yvonne going to go hack on this? Wasn't that the conclusion from the PTD? I don't remember exactly.
The PTG notes. Syncing scheduler stats in an HA environment. Update old driver spec. You wrote about this to address comments. Action, Gorka to help out Ivan as he starts reworking the spec.
Yeah, well, Gorka wrote like a giant document. I don't know if it ever made it upstream or not, but it's somewhere.
We are up to patch set 5 on using the database to get information for the scheduler, and it is still -1 by Gorka.
That was minus workflow, but
Yeah.
yeah, Gorka's last comment on there made it sound like this was not really figured out yet.
Okay. So, still a work in progress.
Yeah, it's something that's going to be a good thing to have for AJ stuff.
Okay. Almost to the end. Okay, so we talked about the SQL can you migrate to Alembic.
Probably not being driven by Sean at this point.
Yeah, I think we should really try to do it new.
Yeah,
So I just got pained about a possible intern.
too.
Probably the same thing.
Yeah. Seems like a good spot.
I didn't get pinged.
But it turns out that, well, I was very excited because I thought it was an actual intern. It's a ability to advertise to get an intern,
Oh.
which is a much different.
Has yet to become a real intern.
Right. So
It's a potentially existent intern.
yeah, even vaguer than that.
I had one in Raleigh a while ago.
Did you? No, I think it'd be fine, but it's farther off than I had thought personally. I just thought, oh, how fortuitous. I have something an intern can do, yeah. But anyway,
Can they join
it's
the
it's
meeting?
a possibility.
This is now the interview.
No pressure. Okay.
Unnamed unicorn.
Snip. Hashtag.
Some proofs up, huh?
Yeah.
So I actually started on this,
Wow.
and it's currently blocked by Cinder,
Oh.
unfortunately.
What? How is
Because
it blocked by Cinderlip?
the main one that I was working on, which is my like 4-year-old patch set at this point, was the one for LIO, iSCSI target,
Yeah.
which is used by the LVM driver. And Cinderlib does not yet have the brains in it to load and run PrivSep code. So if you put any in like a volume driver path, which most of it is not in a volume driver path, but if you put it in a volume driver, that driver will not work in Cinderlib. And now that we gate on Cinderlib tests for the LVM driver, I could merge this if I wanted to right now, because we've set up a set of rules that makes it a requirement for Cinderlib to support this. But really so that's one case for the LIO driver. More generally, this is really just an ongoing effort of identifying anything that we would want to move. So it's funny, IRC thing popped up on my screen.
Okay.
I didn't just have like a seizure.
Well, I'm like, boy, my comment there wasn't that funny.
No, I just what we got to do is go through Cinder and find places we're using root wrap that we don't really need to be and convert them to PrivSep calls, which we've done. in a handful of places. We did it wrong, kind of in a handful of places, because we kind of did a pass of this, but we really did a pass that involved calling, like if you want to delete a file, we said, well, we won't just call root wrap rm, now we'll call privsep shell rm, whereas the actual goal is to call like Python, os.unlink or something to run native Python code instead of shell code in an escalated area to do this, which performs better and it's just, makes Cinder less based on bash calls, which is good. But there's nothing that's like horrible about the fact that we haven't done this everywhere, but it's continual improvement kind of thing. But I think for some of it, we got to get the Cinderlib thing sorted, which Gorka has some idea how to do it. It just hasn't. No one's demanded this as like something that's terribly important for him to do versus other things that he's doing there, which is probably the correct call for the moment. But we should probably get some idea of when we might do this. I don't know where we really would declare this as like finished. I mean, it's kind of flip through the code and find all the obvious places that we're shelling out as root. But the further part of this that I have not done a lot with was also to privsep has the ability to give you a privileged process that's running with a certain set of Linux capabilities. So you can tell it that it can do certain things and not other things. But it turns out that most of the places we use privsep have to do like a lot of Linux capabilities, like cap sysadmin, which lets you do everything, is required for half of the stuff that we want to actually do. So I had a theory a while back that we would do, full-on division of privileges with privsep, where you would have some thread that you could tell to go delete a file, and it couldn't actually do anything else, but it could do that for you. But that's proved to be not super practical so far. Eventually, maybe we'll get to where we can do some things like that, but it's... At our first go at this, we kind of determined that half the stuff we were doing required cap sysadmin anyway, and then it's like, well, let's just stick with that. But it's relevant because this is another one of those things where people show up on the mailing list and they say, why did we do all this privsep crap? It doesn't do anything useful, like instead of root wrap. And the answer is, well, because we didn't do it really. Because that discussion's already happened on the mailing list at least once. From the Nova crowd. But I don't know. I like this whole privsep thing, and I've been poking at it off and on for a while. So I'm interested in the area still. But I'm not sure what else to do with it at the moment until we fix the Cinderlib thing.
Okay. So blocked on Cinderlib, Gorka's aware of it.
Yeah. Cinder's not, suffering because we haven't gone further with this yet. So. Doing it as we can do it.
API to reimage an attached volume. So that.
This was kind of. Wasn't this waiting for some definition on the Nova side still?
Right. So.
At least it was last time I looked at it.
This merged back in Stein.
Cinder spec did, right?
Yeah, the Cinder spec did.
Did the Nova spec ever merge like at all?
A related Nova patch. well, wait a second. Okay, so there's a pointer to the,
So they do have a spec landed. So
okay, but the
volume
code,
back to server rebuild.
the code hasn't merged yet.
Is it possible for the Nova code to merge before we do the Cinder part? I don't know what order this is. For us to do this first, I don't know.
Okay, so the get image metadata into volume utils.
Tiedemann has a patch up for Cinder client for this, which is
U-2 the support volume reimage patch.
yeah, but I just -2'd it because it was like that in there somewhere. Like we're still figuring out what we're doing in Nova with this. That was the only reason.
Okay.
So this. The Reedemans, so I -2'd it because Reedemann said we shouldn't merge it into the Cinder API until they can test the Nova code with it and see things look, I guess.
Okay. And the Nova code has not merged. It doesn't
Well, I
look
don't
like.
think it's going to merge until they're probably going to expect us to merge the Cinder part first, I would assume.
But didn't you just say that the Cinder, that
Well, he says, Matt said on patch 16 of the Cinder patch that they want the related Nova changes to be available for testing. He didn't say merged. I think he just wanted to make sure somebody could actually run this thing. So the main question is, are we going to touch this in train at all? I'm assuming it's too late to even care about this for train.
yeah.
So it seems like at the beginning of U was on -2 it when we get to the start of U, I guess.
Okay.
And then we can get running on it. Are you familiar with this whole feature? Like I kind of vaguely know what it is, but I'm not really super involved in it. I mean, I think the idea was they want a Nova operation that says stamp a new image onto this volume that I guess they kind of detach it and download a new glance image to it and then reattach it to the instance.
Yeah, they want to be able to basically,
yeah.
they if for root drives they want to be able to reimage it without having to detach and reattach the volume.
And they want to keep the same. They want to keep the same volume.
Yes.
Yeah. This isn't all just because Nova has a limitation that they're trying to just avoid, right? Because I know there's the whole like you can't detach the root volume thing.
I can't confirm nor deny that.
Yeah.
It was. I don't remember it being mentioned in the discussion.
Because I think the basic description of what this is they actually just want an API that says, "Hey, Cinder, go download the image again and put it there." Which is maybe that's what reimage means. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like something we could do at the beginning of U. I guess nobody's been looking at this much lately. I mean, the last update on the Cinder patch was in April.
And that was because, wasn't it Yukun that was working on it, and he was at Huawei, and Huawei is less active right now.
I have no idea. What is, yeah, I don't know. Is he still around?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Working on Cyborg. I'm not sure what that even is.
Cyborg?
Yeah.
It's basically accelerator support for VMs. yeah, it's a project that's working on making it possible to get accelerators attached to VMs. Uh, old CG API removal.
Yeah, that's moving people from the consist group API to the groups API with the property. Should probably do that. Probably nobody using that API anyway. Sure, I guess. Well, I don't know that we ever did the whole design on. We can remove it if people want to remove it. The alternative is you just leave it there and you just map it into the group's code and let the API still exist. But there's probably not any reason to do that at this point. So makes sense, I guess. Consistency groups is another one of those weird features that seems like a real good idea for some very specific group of people, but I've like never heard of anyone actually using them. So I don't really have a lot of opinions on it.
Okay.
I mean, it makes sense, but like as far as I can tell, no one has ever actually deployed them and used them for anything. So
Maybe its usage is not consistent.
yeah. Well,
Sorry.
we made stuff really confusing with this when we got into group snapshots and stuff too.
Yeah.
Because now you can do group snapshots, which look a whole lot like consistency group snapshots, but they're not consistent. But they kind of look like they could be consistent. And you don't really know what you're doing, or it's going to be problematic. Yeah, I mean,
I think that was one of those Sean wanted to clean up code, delete.
I mean, it's good to get rid of API stuff we don't need. I don't know of any reason that we would need to keep that.
Is that something you want to go remove, or just?
Well, I don't know. I mean, is it still in the client? Like, do we have to do the client first, or I don't even know what's involved there. Because I think that stuff's all still in the client too. But maybe we leave it in the client for people that run older servers. I don't know. I would say that if somebody wants to go through and figure out how to properly get rid of it, I doubt anyone would object to that.
Okay. Don't have anybody jumping up to do it though. It's fine.
Yeah. Automate generation of sample files.
Yeah. So if you look at the link, it looks like all the pieces have merged.
Was that all the pieces that were supposed to exist?
That would be a question for Rajat, I'm guessing, because he has all the patches are owned by him.
Yeah. I don't know what other samples we might have.
Is Rajat on the meeting?
Yeah, maybe.
Because he was typing on the Etherpad a minute ago.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Showing up with support.
Is there, hey Rajat, is there more that needs to be done there?
Yeah, hi. There is more work to be done there. I will continue the work after the feature freeze because it doesn't has a spec and it can be merged after that also.
Okay.
I haven't looked at any of that API doc stuff in a while. Probably stand to go look at it, see what's going on in there.
Okay, well, that ends the review of our list of things we wanted to get done. Some good, some bad, some to do. Oh. ABC removal.
Yeah.
It looks like Rajat pointed to a patch.
No, that's not the same thing.
No.
I just looked at it a few minutes ago. So that was some update for Python 3.8 compatibility.
Okay.
I think we came to a good point at this on the PTG, which is that the ABC thing is not useful in any way, and we should get rid of it because it makes our code look all crazy and accomplishes nothing. So I don't know. I mean, I can put that in my spare time list if no one else is gonna look at it. Since I helped inflict it many years ago on Cinder in the first place.
I never understood what it was supposed to do.
Oh, I understood what it was supposed to do. The problem was it didn't actually do what it was supposed to do. Because none of us actually understood how ABCs worked whenever. So it was some non-regular Cinder contributor that came in and like built this thing.
Josh Harlow?
No, I think this was like the only thing that like this guy did for Cinder was this ABC thing. And the theory of what it was supposed to do was that it was supposed to help prevent problems with like method signature mismatches. And basically when you write a volume driver, you would say, inherit from these classes, and then it would add the ability in the code to enforce that you had the right arguments being passed around and the stuff's generally shaped right to kind of prevent stupid coding errors and stuff with drivers and mismatching the interface. Turned out that like it didn't really accomplish that. What we got instead was really a big pile of ABC classes that are just kind of there, and nobody really has been able to discern that they didn't do anything useful other than they're there and you can inherit them. So we decided a little while ago, because I distinctly remember having a discussion about removing these when Griffith was attending one of these things, and we even decided then that we should get rid of this, and we just haven't because it's not a ton of work, but it's a bunch of lines of code that somebody needs to go fish through. I had started trying to do this a long time ago and never finished with it. But yeah, we should get rid of them. Probably not really that hard to do for someone who wants to sit down and spend some time doing it.
Excuse me. I mean, it's like deleting classes and wrappers, right?
Yeah, the hard part, because I actually had started on this, the hard part is you have to. So we still have in there somewhere the old volume driver base class. And then we have the base VD ABC, which is like the base volume driver ABC thing. And then we have all these ABC classes. Yeah. We have all these ABC classes that are like, snapshot and manageable snapshot. And I don't remember, there's a handful of them. Clonable, migrate. And so the tricky part is when you eliminate all these extra classes that people use as like mix-ins, you have to make sure that you put everything back in the right place and line up usage of these methods like unmanaged snapshot and whatever parameters that takes with the base class and the drivers that we're using it and make sure everything gets in the right place, which is not that hard to do. It's just a bunch of code to shuffle around. And it's probably nobody's done it because everybody looks at this and they kind of go, what is this nonsense? And then they can do something else. I don't know. Like I said, I can put this on my spare time to-do list.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I'm okay with that. It's another one of those things that's not urgent to get.
It'd probably make life better for anybody that's showing up writing a new driver. Just so there's not this huge pile of confusing stuff that they have to sort through and figure out going on with it.
Okay. Sounds good. Maybe you can get an intern to do it. You need minions. Yes? Okay. So that was the list of the topics I had. So one other thing to discuss. Do we want to try to do this again? In February sometime?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of mixed
I
because.
think Fernando wants to talk about mutable options.
Oh,
Oh, he does?
let's do that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. He's on the Blue Jeans chat.
Is Fernando...
Okay.
On their roadmap, but no updates right now.
Oh.
I don't. Whose roadmap is that?
Yeah, whose roadmap, Fernando?
Oh, I used to work at Erlang. Okay, muted him.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so is he backfilling Erlang?
Oh, Erlang left NetApp. Okay.
Oh.
We were just discovering that earlier today, looking at Stackalytics, and we're not sure what happened. But
Is he still working on OpenStack?
okay. Cool.
Okay.
Wasn't the mutable options thing like a community-driven effort a while back?
Well, so there was support in Oslo for it to some extent.
Okay.
I don't know
But there
that
wasn't like really a goal to do anything in particular with it.
I thought there had been at some point.
there was too, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But that's good to hear that NetApp's interested in it too.
Okay, so I guess keep us updated if that's something you guys start working on.
So it was rocky, enable mutable configuration.
Well, so did we meet that goal? I don't know either. I'm guessing not.
Yeah. I know. Okay, so looks like Fernando's maintaining the NetApp
Oh, okay.
driver. All right, great.
Cool.
Thanks, Fernando.
Good to hear.
Yep, thank you. Okay, so doing another mid-cycle, you looked dubious.
Oh, I mean, so some kind of mixed. I mean, if it's too small a crowd, probably better off doing it as a virtual mid-cycle. So I should back up. So I think we should definitely do a mid-cycle. I think these are very useful
Okay.
to go through things. But if most of the people are remote,
Yeah.
I'd probably prefer to do it remotely.
Okay.
So that we're all, because I think even though we're making an effort to, have, it's easier if we're all in blue jeans together, so we're all on the same playing field and can interact.
Yeah.
Or like that. But on the other hand, I mean, I don't want to stop doing this because the problem is, right, once companies get out of the habit of supporting something, it's hard to get them to restart again.
Yep.
So I think these are useful. It depends on what direction the summit's going, right? Like having the summit in Shanghai where hardly anybody's going to go. That's very useful this time. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what is going to come out of the PTG there, if anything.
Exactly. So I think these kind of sessions are really useful, just to touch base, to review what's going on, to get input from people, make everyone aware of what's being worked on. So whether we do it virtually or if we can do it in person, we should do something.
I think a lot of it might depend on who's interested in doing it too.
Yeah. So maybe the way to do it is to promote it as an event and see, I guess we just see how many people commit. And if it's not sufficient, we could do it virtually. I just don't know what to do. I mean, it's like Eric said, we were kind of hoping we'd get a good crowd because we could combine.
Well, it sounds like we might have been able to, but
something else came up.
Well, and the thing was that Sean had something come up your group had something come up.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm assuming that's going to continue with like, I mean, Sean's doing stuff other than just Cinder, and like a bunch of people are kind of in that spot. So
which that's fine, but can we plan it for a time where Red Hat can participate better?
And we need to talk to our
Yeah.
manager more seriously about how important this is to the project overall.
Okay.
And then see. I guess the other advantage of doing it virtually is that instead of doing like full 8-hour days over 2 or 3 days, we could do it like 4-hour slots or something. So we can find a better time to accommodate more people. So that's, I mean, we had done virtual. We had done some physical ones with clients, then we did virtual, and the virtual ones worked really well.
Okay.
But everybody knew they were going to be virtual, and so it was a whole different atmosphere than sort of participating with what am I trying to say? Having a physical event that some people are sort of calling into versus everybody participating in the virtual event.
Yeah.
So that's
my concern is that in the past when we did all virtual ones, well, one, the technology wasn't as good because that was quite a number of years ago.
yeah.
But two, people didn't really pay attention.
well, that's the thing too. I guess right. Right.
Like I know him. If we do virtual,
Yeah.
He'll be watching the patches come up on the
yeah,
Cinder channel.
yeah, he'll be off doing somewhere else. He's one that you gotta Walt.
Right.
Well, there's also
And nobody will be able to hear Eric.
Well, he's got his headset on. You can
Fix
hear
that.
him really
I
well,
mean,
though. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm just giving you crap.
I know you love that 1 point. I mean,
I just wish I was so mellow.
It's also possible that we could benefit from doing virtual things other than just the mid-cycle. I mean, there have been OpenStack teams that have done every now and then conference calls or video things of some sort.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
I think there's probably a lot that could happen in a useful way with that kind of stuff too, if we figured out how we would organize it. And again, it depends a lot on how many people are active in the community that would even want to do it.
Right.
But there's probably, instead of just doing the mid-cycle, I mean, you could do something more often that was a smaller scope thing too.
Yeah, then maybe that would address the losing concentration. Because if it was just 2 hours, every other month, maybe that would work. Still not being very helpful. I think
No, I
we
mean,
need to be a little.
I mean-
we need to be creative.
We're going a lot off of momentum of how this has always worked in the past.
Yeah.
And it's just tricky because it's a much smaller crowd and it's a different kind of thing now. I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
And honestly, I'm not going to be in charge anymore. So
yeah.
If it's a time to try new things and do things differently and see how it goes. I'm mildly biased because it's really hard to get Lenovo to send me here because they don't support internal travel. But when I can say I'm coming for external meetings, then suddenly I get funding. So and the irony behind it that it used to be it was a pain in the ass to get funding to travel to these, and now it's like they're the excuse. So if we decided we wanted to do it physically again, I think I could probably get the briefing center next time.
Okay.
Assuming we had enough leeway, I would see if we could get the Niagara room, which is about the size of this, with outside windows and a little nicer environment.
Nice.
So I would be willing to continue to support it if that's the way you guys want to go.
Okay.
If not, and so it sounds like let's float it out there.
Yeah, I think right. And then
Let's maybe see in the meeting, in the next Cinder meeting, ask, hey, okay, we've had another mid-cycle, we had some good attendance, but it was small. We're not anticipating a lot the Shanghai Summit. What do we want to do in the spring?
Well, I think it's going to be real hard to get anybody international to come to this mid-cycle thing too.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, even for our group, I think that's maybe true.
Right.
So I don't know.
Which is a drag.
It
I mean,
was-
it's good from it. It's a nice team building experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's good to meet new people and actually interact.
Yeah.
So that
Token
does go a
vendor
long
guy.
way, right?
It was also a lot easier to justify why we had to do it when it was like 25 people and it was like a big thing. I mean, it's
Well, yeah, I guess now right, because it used to be you had to compete to get stuff into a priority list
Yep.
for projects. And
Yeah,
now
and
it's
nobody's-
not so much. Yeah.
I mean, that's why there's not the participation is nobody shows up unless they want something in. And
Well,
back
there's-
then we were all fighting for power to get stuff in.
Right.
well back then, everybody in Cinder Core was like doing Cinder. I mean, the number of people that are full-time Cinder and nothing else is not that big of a list anymore.
Well, and now I'm at a point where I'm doing so much general OpenStack stuff for
Yeah.
Lenovo. I've like become the token OpenStack guy,
Yeah.
which, yeah, anyway.
Let's check the dates of the.
Do we have the dates for the next release out?
No, they're probably stuck waiting for the name.
And and now you're saying no, just as we've had an offer to go to Portland.
Right. So
What's wrong with you, man?
I want to do Portland in the fall,
No.
not
okay.
winter.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah. You should go about this time next year.
But no, so that's right. So we have a couple of things. So there's do it here versus do it Portland, and do it physically versus do it.
Well, I'm
virtually.
also starting to wonder if we were going to do a physical one, is there any other like simultaneous event we should attach it to that would make it easier for people to show up? I don't know if there's anything that could fall in that category, but not sure. Let's go do some research on that.
Yeah. Gorka would be good to ask. He seems to be up on all the European events anyway.
And suddenly we're in Europe.
Sweet. There's
We'll
a
see.
local meetup group in Portland for Open Infra and OpenStack. There's a lady that organizes those, and she's pretty active because I think it's actually funded mostly by Intel. Like the previous chair was an Intel, one of the networking engineers. So potentially we could do something jointly or do something adjacent with it. Could potentially bring more people to it.
There was one of those here, but I think it's kind of dwindling. It looks like the last event was in February.
Sure.
I used to go every now and then to the group here, but I think they had trouble getting enough people involved in it to keep it going. Because NetApp was running it for a while, and then Red Hat ran some of them, I think. Just need to put the word container on it, and we'll get everybody to show up.
Yeah.
The train release is October 14th.
So 14th, so November, December, January, February, March, April. So it'll come out mid-April.
So then,
So late January, early February would be the time to do it.
it'd be good to do it closer to the second milestone, I think,
Yeah,
or right after maybe.
because the second milestone is what, early January?
Should be. It was for Stein, but Stein started the week of September 3rd. So it was like a month before, like 6 weeks before ending. I wish they had the U mapped out.
Did anything ever happen on all the proposals to make it longer than a 6 month?
No.
A lot of people were talking about that for a little while.
Yeah, I don't think that went anywhere.
No. Well, and that was, I think, heavily driven by one of the distros didn't want to change it.
At least Stein was 5 weeks longer than Train.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, sorry. So,
Well, there were some shifts in there due to the change with PTG and Summit, and so there have been some wobbles
Right.
in the actual length of the releases.
because the summit is it's November. Is it like the second week of November?
Nope, first week.
Okay.
3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that. Because my son's musical would start that weekend, and I'm hoping that I can go to Lenovo the week before.
Okay.
Plus, I know if I do the summit and then try to go to Lenovo, I'm just going to be
Burnt out.
blitzed. I mean, just a week here is exhausting.
It was the last week in January. I guess we should do it around then. So either last week of January or one of the first 2 weeks of February. That's good. It gives us
I would vote for the first week in February because that's the week I don't have my kids.
Okay.
That's my only input. But obviously, if for other people it needs to be the last week in January.
Well, what we can say when we float the idea is aim for the first week in February, plus or minus a week. So if somebody can come up with a good, if there's some kind of big conflict, we can be flexible about moving.
Okay.
But we can aim for the first week in February. I don't think that's too soon. The problem with timing this is you don't want to be too soon and you don't want to be too late. The development starts, by the end of November. Get half of December basically in the U.S. and then
There'll
January.
be a lot going on by then.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So things should be moving along by then.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe we should put together a Google survey or something to get some feedback about the people who missed the meeting. Yeah.
Sorry, what was that last thing?
Well, I think maybe I'll put together a short Google survey.
Okay.
There's some kind of feedback about the yeah. I'll slap something together and then run it by you
Okay.
before we put it out. And then we can get some feedback. Just people may feel more comfortable. Just feeling how to quit pushing the buttons and having to say something.
Okay.
Yeah. So I really think this is worth doing. For the
In
people who attend,
some-
it's really helpful.
Yeah, that what's that tool we used for
Survey monkey.
picking? No, there's the tool for schedule.
Oh, Doodle.
Yeah.
Doodle. No, what is it, Doodle? Yeah, it is Doodle. Noodle's the it's like a classroom delivery thing. I think that's called Doodle.
Yeah, Noodles, like whiteboarding,
Yeah, that kind of thing.
educational system, and Doodles, time survey, scheduling.
Yeah, the Google
And
surveys.
Poodle is an annoying little dog.
Who's
Poodle.
A poodle.
Unless it's mixed with some other type of dog.
They used to have, it was half poodle, half black lab. He was a great dog.
My kids, their mom got a Bernie Doodle. So Bernie's mountain dog.
Bernie Sanders.
No.
Just think of the personality on that dog. Must be something
Yeah,
else.
my dad has a Labradoodle. He's like a total goofball dog. Like he's a very cool dog.
Yeah.
So it's a Bernese mountain dog mixed with a poodle. And
Wow.
I come in and she stands up and is face to face with me with her
Yeah.
arms on my shoulders, and she's a bonehead.
Yeah.
She looks like a cow. She's black and white and looks like a cow, and it's just like, it's like, she means to be a good dog, but she doesn't. She thinks she's a little puppy, not a 90-pound behemoth.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, so to do doodle poll, Bernie Doodle. Bernie Sanders mixed with a doodle.
That's really funny.
I'm not going to be able to look at Phoebe the same again. I'm like, Bernie!
We need healthcare.
Free schooling. This dog's going to change the world.
Treats for everybody.
Trees for everyone. Obedience training for free. You're going to put together a survey.
Okay. Cool.
We'll see what people think and go from there.
Yeah.
My big concern is I don't see Shanghai being terribly productive. I mean,
Have to assume
then
there
again,
is.
it might be great. You and I can just corner Gorka and like shackle him to a chair and make him fix everything, and then
Well, for the people who were there, I think it'll be useful.
yeah.
But it's
A lot of
too bad it's
a
won't
lot
be
of the
spread out.
usual crowd probably isn't going to be
Yeah.
there. It's time to get some new contributors on the
Anything else we want to talk about, or do we want to start reviewing code? Which I mean is,
Well, Sophia had her thing here for tomorrow, which is just review it.
yeah.
Yeah, let's move that into today.
I don't think there's a whole lot to talk about. This was
Yeah, it's basically we got to just.
Blue Jean's message. Oh, Rajat wants to know if there will be discussion.
Have what?
Oh, Rajal wants to know if we're doing stuff tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Probably
question.
need to figure that out.
Yes, we should before we stop today's meeting. Looks like we've pretty much gotten these done.
Yeah, I don't think we really have any more topics.
Well, and if we've got,
The time now to close things out.
yep, and if you're not going to be here tomorrow, so it's down to 3 of us.
Yeah.
We can still meet for breakfast.
Yeah,
I think let's call it,
Yeah.
today.
okay. So today will be our final day, and then we will, you and I will figure something out tonight.
Sure, that'd be good.
And
Just
I will come
discuss
to
logistics and things.
Yeah.
but I mean, it's been productive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this helps me feel more confident that I only scheduled 2 days in Shanghai.
Right.
But I did ask that our onboarding education stuff not be rolled in, so it'd be
Oh, I see.
like
Right. Separate.
2 days of technical talk if we need it, and then time to do onboarding. So what's Sophia's?
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get some informal forum back. But who knows who's going to be there?
I
It'll
have
be interesting.
no idea. You know, and like I said, Lenovo's hosting the Upstream Institute
That's what you said at Lenovo's.
at Lenovo's
location.
site.
So they have a place in Shanghai?
Yeah.
I guess everybody does.
Yeah, that's where my team is based.
Oh, okay.
And apparently the office is not close to the convention center, but not prohibitively far.
Okay.
We'll see how that works out. And we're kind of gambling because the one location we couldn't use because they turned the heating and cooling off during the weekend.
Oh,
So he found another location that has heating and cooling,
okay.
and should have enough space, but he can't reserve rooms more than like 6 weeks out or something. So we're committing.
So you're still
and-
waiting to see if you have the rooms.
Yeah, so we're committing to it, and I'm counting on Paul in Shanghai to remember the day that the room becomes available to
Get
click on it.
Right.
So, and we're going to do the 1.5 day long education and cater it and stuff,
Well, that's nice. So that's the weekend before the summit officially
Yeah.
starts, right?
which is why I'm kind of like, well, I might as well go beforehand, get to know my team, get them included.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just got confirmation from Ildeco that they do want us to host it.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's good.
Rest there. So Paul's like, oh, I've got admins to do that for me. I'm like, that must be nice. Like, we don't have those here. Till I'm like band A or B or something, whatever it is.
All
I
right.
got to get promoted 2 more times before I get married. Anyway, that was a total tangent. What was I talking about?
So we were just
Oh, we were going to
discussion
look at.
tomorrow, so we will end today.
We will end today. Here ends the mid-cycle.
Okay.
Well, not here, but
I'm ready to hit the button.
are you?
Unless you want to review Sophia's patches live.
I don't know that we need to go through live review.
Right. No, I don't think so. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, it's been productive. We covered a lot of stuff, that's for sure.
It's been fun.
Okay. Thanks for attending, people out in the cybersphere. All right. Here we go.
Bye.
Goodbye.